Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Thursday. It is June 27th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and another range day today. It was mostly, uh, really, we had two trends up. We had a trend up early, then we had a little bit of a correction here. Um, Correction lasted about an hour and a half or so, and then we had another leg up into the 2 o'clock hour. So Um, everything traded within the overnight highs and overnight lows, so that's a range day. You can see we're above and below the EMA. However, the trends are the range is big enough that you get a trend up, a trend down, a trend up. And then we really just went kind of sideways from that point on, right into the 2 o'clock hour. Um, so yeah, it was big enough range that you were able to get trends today. I moved the lines in where you got more where most of your touches were. It kind of tightened up as the day went on. That's not unusual. Um, we never did fill the gap. There's a gap on the daily chart. This is where we closed yesterday, the brown line. This is where we opened today at 8:30. So on that daily chart, there's a gap between here and here, and we filled about half of it, but we didn't quite fill the whole gap. So um, for a range day, I'm surprised we didn't fill the gap. Generally on a range day, you're going to fill it, but it didn't happen. We found support here, and there's just not a lot of price action today. You can see the volatility's pretty low. The volume's not real high either. So kind of a quiet day, to be honest with you. You kind of see the summer doldrums uh, slipping into the market right now, and that's not unusual either. So a lot of your traders take vacation, school's out, so forth. So they take vacations, family vacations, and all that during the summer, and just take a break. So not unusual at all. But you never know. There'll be some days mixed in where you get some pretty good price action, and then there'll be days where you don't get anything at all. The only good thing today is that the range was big enough to where you had some trends. It's got a little dicey right in here, but this is a pretty good move up, another pretty good move up, and you actually got some shorts in here too. I'll talk about them in a minute. But let's back out. Not a lot of trades today, so it won't take long. This is going to wrap up our week. No chart lessons on Friday, so this will wrap it up for the week, and we won't be back until Monday. But let's talk about the trades. The first trade I saw was right at 7 o'clock, came right in here. And you can see that, notice you had a low, you went first entry, you pushed up, and you really had a second entry short there and moved up, and then you came back, and you really just kind of confirmed the trend line here. You got a little bit of room to the EMA. This is before 7 o'clock, though, so 7 o'clock came right in there, and you pulled back and you bounced off that trend line again. The only thing I didn't like about it is everything is still below the EMA. This was a really strong sell-off, even for the overnight, so there's always a good chance that you're going to get the next leg down and probably at least test this low. Didn't happen today, though. We bounced off that, but that being off that trend line working up, it's been going since almost 5 o'clock this morning. So, and here it is, 7 o'clock for a couple of hours. So you got that one leg. I would at least expect maybe a second leg up there before we head down. Remember, the market moves in twos, and that's why we like second entries and so forth. There's your measured leg up right in there. So you got a lot of room to go if we get through that EMA. So you may risk that one. I think it's a little risky. It's not an ideal trade. There is a little tighter trend channel working up through there as well, but you may take that one. I marked it green. It's real close. You could argue for it to be blue, but being right into that EMA, I'm just not crazy about it. So you definitely don't want to be entering up here, in my opinion. Not into the high of this trend channel line. We did push on through, but you don't know that's going to happen. But you get a nice little two-legged correction back to the trend line again. You get a nice signal bar. These two have matching lows, so you could use this one for your signal bar. So you can enter there. If you didn't like that one, you got a higher low here that bounces off the trend line again. But this is a nice second entry long right here. I like that one. But you could even add on here, or if you didn't add on, you could definitely enter there. So it actually broke lower and turned and went out the other side. Shoots on up, and you don't want to be entering up here, just kind of in the middle of nowhere. You want it to come back to the trend line, uh, uh, or give you some kind of failure or something. There actually is a failed second entry short here, but I wouldn't take that. Notice that low, it's lower than that one. So you get a new count, first entry, second entry. There's a failed second entry short there, but you're starting to get some resistance here, a lot of overlap. I wouldn't be interested in that. And of course we turn down here, make a second entry, our first entry long, second entry long, it fails. Everything's below the EMA. I like going short there. Um, it's not a bad long. The only problem you had, notice you had this shorter term trend line, but you also want to draw that trend line. If you draw it off those first two bars, it tends to fit better here. So going long here, you're taking a chance that the trend line's over here. Notice I drew it both ways, but it turns out to be this one. And so I'd be leery about going long there. If you did, I'd reverse right here on that failure. But I'd be careful going long right there. I'd probably wait for a higher low, even though that's a second entry with the trend, and that's the first break. We did get an overshoot here into and this is in the regular session. If it was an overshoot down here in the overnight, I'd say probably ignore that. But with it being in the regular session, I'd be concerned that the market may reverse now, and it does end up reversing. So nice failed second entry long, reversal type pattern. It does come back. You get another second entry long short right here. I didn't have a very good signal bar. I got almost a doji, so I don't like it on mine. If you had a better signal bar here, that'd be a great place to go short. Notice I do get a lower high here. Big bearish bar, great place to enter. It actually comes back again. And you could look at this as a failed second entry long when it broke below here. So that's a possibility right there. I didn't mark that one, but that would be the only way I would trade that. I wouldn't go short way down here below that big, huge bar. You're just asking for trouble right there, especially when you've got so much sideways action here that we're due to come back. So you may take that one. Again, you'd have to go short right there when it broke below that bar. And then, of course, you get a new low, first entry, and another second entry short right there, a nice bearish bar. It's the first close outside the trend line. You're probably going to shoot down for a new low, and this thing makes a really good move down. There's a lower high right here that, if you had a good signal bar, no problem going short right there. The better entry is this second entry short right at the trend line, though. And notice you're kind of going sideways there. You could also treat that like a little failed breakout. You can see that resistance working across there. That's a little failed breakout. That's a nice move right there down too. And then now you got to close outside a new low. You may try to make another low. This is a possibility as well. It's a lower high, but the problem is we just came off the low and you're not back to the trend line. There's not a whole lot of room here. This is really the more low you're worried about, but that's just not a perfect setup, especially not being back to the trend line off coming here and kind of right into that midline. Prices lately have been kind of chopping down those midlines, kind of like it did here. So you're taking a little risk there. I think it would have worked. I didn't count exactly how many ticks it was, but I wouldn't take that trade. I'd skip it. It's one you could argue for, I guess, depending on how your chart looks. But when you come down and make that low and you make that double bottom and then you try again, you get a double test of this level, nice bullish bar. You may go long right there because now you've had a break, a new low, and you've tried to go lower there multiple times, and that's where we had some support earlier in the morning. I like going long there just to try to get a scalp, if nothing else. But you may catch one of those important lows right here and go on. It's good for a scalp, nothing more. But notice you got a little double bottom and try to go lower once, twice. You get a little failed second entry short. Nice bullish bar off what looks like a trend line right there. Another good place to go long and look at it go. It's where all your good entries tend to happen at these key entry points. runs on up. Then you just start, you get an overshoot here is what it looks like, and then you start going sideways. I don't see any reason to enter it. Even when it broke lower and turned and went out the other side, I wouldn't go long into that resistance. It does pull back and give you a little breakout pullback long, but you've already had an overshoot and you're right there at the highs, and you got this high up here as well. So I'd probably skip that trade. I don't think it's worth taking. You pull back and you get a break here. You got an overshoot. Usually you get a break soon thereafter. You get a break here or close outside is the way I really like to describe it. But it's a first entry. Wait on that second entry. You get a second entry here and you're right back into all those highs. So you can't really go long right there. In fact, you end up getting a double test here and a big bearish bar on a second entry. Notice that low. First entry goes back up. Second entry short. And that takes you on the 2 o'clock hour. I actually might consider even entering there, except the only problem I didn't like about it is it's right into those lows right there. And that's going to be risky. And even your next one's the same way. You don't get a breakout pullback short till here. And that's too far into the 2 o'clock hour. So no real trades there. And you may expect this to reverse anyway. So I don't even know if you'd want to take a breakout pullback short. Right there, because generally these breakouts will fail just like they did up here and came back. They fail down here and come back and get back in the range again. We ended up trying to go lower once more, but most of the price action was still within that range, as you can see there. And that's exactly what happens. Prices just don't really trend out of that stuff. They fail and they just keep going sideways. But not a lot of trades today. There were quite a few early on, then the afternoon was a little sparse. Just not a real good trading day overall, to be honest with you. The only good thing about this range today is I like these kind of days, but I like it when you consistently bounce at the same place and turn down at the same place. But you didn't get that today. You were turning down up here higher, and then you were turning down a little lower here. Turning down a little bit higher here than here, and then back up here. You really, to make these days really easy and almost second nature is when they always bounce at the same place. So in other words, every time prices came back to this line, they bounce every time. And every time they come back to this line, they turn down every time. That's what you want to see on range days that are easy. And just like right here, you can see we turned down off these areas multiple times, but really you were playing this trend line then. So, but there is a lot of sideways action there too. So you really want to see it consistently turn down at the same place. And even here, you got a high, a little higher here, a little higher here, a little lower, a little lower, a little lower, a little higher, a little higher. So it's not consistent, and that just makes it harder. So, but you do get some good setups based on the trend line. So you still got another way to enter on that, on this little bit of price action right here. So anyway, that's what I saw today. Again, not the best trading day, not the worst by a long shot, but just kind of quiet today. So that's going to wrap up our week. I'm going to wrap it up for today. I hope you had a good trading day, a good trading week. Hope you learned something this week. We'll be back again to do it Monday. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.